Hi everybody, and welcome back to the Upside Down. This is probably the last movie that I, and even you, ever expected me to get back on YouTube for. You are cordially invited to my spoiler-free review of The Invitation. A young woman is courted and swept off her feet, only to realize a gothic conspiracy is afoot. This movie stars Nathalie Emmanuel and Thomas Doherty. It is directed by Jessica M. Thompson and written by Blair Butler and Jessica M. Thompson. So I went into this movie without seeing any spoilers or reviews or ratings at all. The rating was not up on Rotten Tomatoes. I didn't look into it further. I didn't see any reviews or ratings, so I didn't know if this movie was good, bad, okay. I realize it isn't usually a good sign when there's no reviews or ratings really before release date, let alone after general audiences are getting out of the first showing later that night and there still wasn't a rating for Rotten Tomatoes. That's usually a bad sign. However, I actually kind of enjoyed this movie for the most part. I really was liking a lot of what happened in the first 3 quarters. I was kind of intrigued. The ending fell apart a little bit for me. I will say though, it took this movie down a little bit for me. You know, there were some twists and turns. There was one big reveal that in execution did not work for me. I actually did not mind what the reveal actually was, but I just do not think that it was executed properly. The trailer shows a lot, but it doesn't show the actual twist. But the trailer still does show too much, and it may be easily predictable for a lot of people. It'll especially be predictable if you know some of the inspirations for this movie, and if this movie starts to look, oh, it's inspired by that, oh, it's based off that. I think it'll be easier definitely for you to understand that and kind of predict the twist. When the twist came, I was like, okay, cool. I kind of had a feeling. The execution was just very messy and honestly really campy. Not even like a great campy kind of way for me, at least. And honestly, it was very, very rushed. Like, we didn't get to it until very close to the end, and then the movie just felt really rushed and haphazard and almost like an afterthought. So along with the inspirations of this movie, you can definitely feel some vibes of Get Out and Ready or Not, although I do not think that The Invitation is nearly as good as either of those 2 movies. I think that the actual, the sets, the designs, the set designs, the visuals, even some of the prosthetics, I think they all were really well done. I mean, there's nothing too new to the, the gothic horror genre. You've seen it all before. It's just a big scary mansion, very gothic mansion, very gothic clothes that people wear, very gothic feeling of it all. It's very eerie like that. So it's not like something you haven't seen before, but I did like the sets. When we get into some prosthetic work or makeup work or whatever, when we get into that, I think that they did pretty well. The mansion is a big scary place with a lot of eerie rooms, and outside it's all foggy at night and dark, and there's weird things on the grounds and woods and all of that. So it is really well done in that way. The scary mansion, while not anything new, it does add to the ambiance and scares. I actually jumped several times in this movie. Now granted, I noticed during the trailers, I was like, this is a really loud theater right now. Why is this so loud for a horror movie? And it seemed extra loud. I did jump several times, and a couple of those were actually big, almost double jump scares. It was and I found it kind of intriguing, kind of scary, suspenseful at times. Yeah, there were definitely some big jump scares. Granted, some were cheap scares, but I still thought, for the most part, the scares were well executed. There's jumps where it's predictable, there will be a jump, but there's some actually where it subverts your expectations of, when there's going to be a jump, what's going to be the jump, where's the jump going to come from. There are some that are actually pretty well executed and actually scary and creepy and eerie. Without getting into anything, there's a scene where a man walks into kind of a dark lit room, and he's just standing in the darkness. You don't really see his face, but he's looking at the person that he's talking to. He's glancing at them and he's talking to them, and he doesn't move his glance. He doesn't look that way, he doesn't look any other way. He's just talking to them, and he keeps talking, and then out of nowhere the person that he's talking to comes from the other direction and hits him and pushes him. So I thought that was very scary, and of course it's accompanied by a big sound effect, so some people could find it cheap, but I actually thought that was pretty well done. It subverted expectations, and there's a couple other ones that subvert your expectations of what's going to happen exactly. Maybe I'm easy to please with horror movies, but I thought it was well executed, and there were some dumb ones. There were some cheap jump scares, but for the most part I was impressed with a lot of them. I actually think the sound design was good though, and yes, I know a lot of horror movies do the cheap jump scares where a loud sound effect is accompanied by something that wouldn't really be that scary alone. I do notice that, but sometimes it's done well. I think that the sound editing was actually pretty well done in this, throughout the whole thing. I thought the score was good. You know, they picked good soundtrack, good score, you know, that really add to that ambiance, to really add to that creepiness and eeriness of the setting in the movie, and I think that they did a good job with that. Nathalie Emmanuel was actually really great here, and I'm actually glad to see her after Game of Thrones, because I really liked her character in that. Thomas Doherty actually makes a really good creep. He's charming, he's cute, but you just know there's something underneath that. A lot of this family just seems like they're weirdos, and that's the mystery of it. You're supposed to wonder, should she have come on this trip without knowing these people at all? No, but it's a movie and it needed to get there somehow. I have better ideas of how it could have gotten there, but still. Jessica M. Thompson is actually a pretty good director. Again, nothing stand out, but I did like a lot of her directing choices. Like, I really liked some of her directing choices and the editing that goes into them. Like, I love in movies, and maybe it's simple, maybe I'm simple for liking this, but I love in movies, you know, when there's something, you know, happening, a sound or a repeated action, a repeated visual, and then it goes to the next scene and it's not the same thing, but it's similar, and it reminds you of that other thing. One of the examples from Game of Thrones I actually have was Theon was getting his, you know, man stuff cut off, and then it went to the next scene of someone eating a sausage. So something like that. There's a few really good examples of that in The Invitation, and I thought that was pretty smart. A lot of people can do something like that, but I think it was really cool to make that connection from scene to scene. There's some really well done horror throughout, like I said. I mean, the jump scares, but there's actually some good, creepy, intense, suspenseful scenes that I thought they were suspenseful. I thought they were intense. Keep an eye out for the wine cellar scene. You'll know what I mean. I really liked that scene, and I really liked the bed canopy scene, but you kind of see part of it in the trailers. And I really liked those scenes, and I thought that the suspense there was really well done. Now, I don't think for the most part that the horror did anything inventive or new. This wasn't really an inventive movie, I don't think, or a new movie, you know, bringing in new ideas and everything. It wasn't, but I still thought it was effective. My biggest negative, without getting into it, like I said, is the twist. That dragged the movie down for me a lot. I was enjoying the first 3/4 of it, and I could see if people thought it was boring. There were some parts even I was like bored, and it felt long at times, you know, in the beginning. Until the last 20 minutes, I was really enjoying it. I was enjoying the scenery, the setting of it, the characters for what they were, the intrigue. Even though some parts were predictable, there were some parts in the trailer that they should not have shown in the trailer, because it took away the suspense of some scenes. I don't know, I wasn't into the twist. Well, like I said, I liked the twist, but honestly, if that was how they were going to execute it, I would have rather them just done something else, and then it could have been a big surprise, because I think some people are going to predict this. Then it could have been, like, you know, pull the rug out from you in maybe even a good horror movie, a really good horror movie. If they did something different, oh, you think it's this, but it's not that at all. And again, it's not the movie's fault that the trailer showed too much, really, but I really don't think that they should have shown that much in that trailer. I know it's horror, and these kind of plots are expected, and they need to do this to get us there, to get us to the plot of the movie, but I would not have gone on a destination wedding. Out of state, out of country, no less. Anywhere, really, but I would not have gone to a destination wedding with someone I just met to visit and stay at a house of people that I do not know. That was a kind of dumb decision, but you need to get the character there somehow. This was kind of a negative but a positive as well. I wish they touched more on the family aspect and feeling like you belong, and feeling like you have a family, feeling like you're not alone, because the main character, she does this DNA test because she's lost everyone basically in her life. She doesn't have everyone in her life. A lot of people have their mom or dad or both, or grandma, grandpa, cousins, siblings. She doesn't have much of that at all. She has her best friend. She was kind of struggling with that a little bit, but they didn't show enough of it. I think this could have been even a better horror, you know, a better movie if they kind of focus more deeply on the drama of it, but not too much, because, you know, you don't want to drag the movie down even more, but do a good job of that. I think that could have added a lot to the character, made us care more about the character. Overall, I enjoyed the film way more than I expected to. I liked the jump scares, the atmosphere, the horror, when it was executed well. However, how they carried out the twist did not work for me and brought the film down quite a bit. And I expect I'll still be higher on it than most. But what would I give The Invitation? The Invitation gets a 6 out of 10 from me. That's a 6 out of 10 for The Invitation. If you liked what you've seen here and you want to see some more from me, please click around here to see some more. Please like this video, comment on this video, share this video with the movie fans in your life. Hit that notification bell, subscribe, and come to the Upside Dan.